fast lap of the session.
All right, let's take a look at that. So this is going to be first lap, hot lap. Probably second's fine, but first lap was good, so might as well do it on the first lap. So setting up for the corner, I like to be in this top lane here. I kind of let out early and then just get back to partial throttle as early as I can. You know it's too early if when you get back to throttle, the car is not coming down the hill. It's still wanting to come up to the wall. If that's happening, then you got on the throttle too early. But now that my car is driving down the hill, I'm just gradually raising the throttle until I can go full throttle when the car's wheel is almost completely straight. And even then I still get a little loose. So that preempted it just a little bit, but we still were able to get a decent run. Okay, now going into turn 1 here. I'm going to go for the line that I was recommending for the week 13. But even though the car feels different, let me preface that. This car feels different than the week 13 car did. A lot more stable. So I don't know what they did with the settings or whatnot. Maybe the track was hotter in week 13. But I'm going for braking at about 30%, 40 maybe. And then as I start turning my wheel down the hill, you kind of want to follow the dark here. You want to aim for that at first. So as I turn down the hill, you let it go with the brake until it's at about 10%. And then when you're about when you're about a lane up from the bottom yellow, you switch from 10% brake into 40 to 50% gas. And then as you make the bottom, you raise your throttle. And as you come off the bottom, you should be able to go full throttle and make the exit. So all that comes together to a late apex, like 2/3 of the way through the corner beyond the bottom, and then slide the car up. So brake 40%. As you start to turn down, trail it down to 10%. As you get off the brake 1 lane up, you bring it to about 50% throttle, then slowly raise that until you reach the yellow. Then once you reach the yellow, bring it up to full throttle and drive it straight back up the hill. All right. Now we're going to go to turn 3 and 4, completely different line. I really always like the top in 3 and 4 for hot lap here. So the biggest key to this corner that most people mess up is that when they enter 3 and 4, they take it to quote unquote shallow. So they will slide up in their line after they enter 3. So they'll do like a Darlington 1 and 2 if you can visualize that. But what you want to do at Iowa 3 and 4 is you want to enter the corner and just pretend that this seam right here, this second seam, is just the bottom yellow. So I trail brake down to the seam, I stick to that seam, I pick up half throttle to stick to the seam, and I never slide up. Never, ever sliding up until I'm sliding up at the very end to straighten out the car and come up to the wall. You don't want to diamond this corner because that takes too much momentum away in the center of the corner to do that. You want to maintain your momentum in this corner, and when you want to do that, you do not want to diamond. So you see, I am holding the inputs that are completely necessary to keep it stuck to that seam. Okay? And then I can go full throttle as I'm unloading the steering wheel and just driving it straight up to the wall from there. Makes it more comfortable, and it's faster too if you do it right. So it just looks like a normal corner, except just pretend that this seam right here is your yellow line. All right, now let's go take a look at long run. All right, now let's take a look at long run. So Iowa, I did a race in this in the week 13 challenge, so I have a good idea of how the long run works here. I personally like these big arc late apex lines in both sides. I had some people tell me that the top started getting good at the end. I personally was not very good at it, so I didn't feel that same thing. But you can run pretty much whatever line that you want, but I found that my favorite line, my recommendation, would be the lines that I'll show you right here. So the top line's pretty darn good in 3 and 4 on the short run, but when the tires start wearing off, and honestly, the set feels a little tighter than that week 13 set did off the rip. I don't really know what's going on. I think they might have made those sets loose just to show off the dynamic track. So in that case, that might make bottom even better. But you see how I'm really trying to make these late apexes to the bottom, and I'm using the brake to get there. So don't use your steering wheel to get to the bottom. Use your initial turn in before the banking starts, plus your brake. So you get the pitch, get the brake all the way down at the bottom, and then get the steering, or get the throttle off the corner. Let's compare it to the top for a couple laps, because I'll tell you what, this combo is feeling a lot more stable than that week 13 challenge set was. Very odd. So the top does work, as you can see. You really want to stick to these seams if you're doing it. That was too early on the throttle. Gotta wait for it now. But still the bottom's better, in my opinion. Now, it could be a thing where, like, as dynamic track works and you're chasing lines, maybe the top does become good at some point. But, in my opinion, from the race that I ran, and what I'm feeling right now, I don't know how you can beat the bottom over the course of a long run. That's just my opinion. And again, you can make any line work. But you see how late I'm getting to the bottom? That is what you're going to want in this combo. Sometimes I say, or a lot of times I say at tracks, you want to get to the bottom as early as possible. Right here is kind of one of those times where I got to the bottom early. But just with the shape of the track, you're not very advantaged because you don't have that angle, that car pitch on exit to take advantage of what you have. Now with here, if you get the car really turned center corner with your brake, you just get to full throttle off the corner. That's like the best of both worlds. Make sure you're not using your steering wheel as much in the center of these corners. You really want to use your brake as much as possible to get that rotation. Alright. So that's my opinion on where the long run will go in these cars. This set does feel a little bit different than what we had in week 13. A lot more stable. I like the week 13 set a little more, I think. 98. So yeah, that bottom line is going to wear your tires evenly. Rear tire is pretty cool. Front tire, it might be getting a little hot, so you might want to just use a little extra brake to get some stuff off the right front tire, sorry. But other than that, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.